All right, guys. So we are now going into positivity mode. I know that we just finished up our Do Not Sync series, which might have been a little bit depressing and demotivating for a lot of you guys. But I'm going to counteract all of that with a lot of positivity and a lot of just success stories that I can possibly highlight for you guys. So one of the first ones I want to show you is this gentleman that you see with you on screen. This is Vittorio Iannucci. He is from Italy, and I probably butchered his name. I apologize for that. But what's really interesting about him is that he had commented on one of my videos a few weeks ago and let me know that he had been already receiving some decent income. I wouldn't say it's obviously not full-time income yet, but definitely over $1,000 within about a year and a half of being in the sync licensing business. Now that definitely caught my attention because that's really actually not that normal. He's kind of sort of the exception to the rule. Most times I say it takes about 2 to 3 years sometimes to finally see your first royalties, which for me was 14 cents. So for him, he found I think it was his first royalty check was pretty substantial with a lot of sports placements. So to date, let me just give you guys a couple of stats before I jump into him and we talk with him. He got started in January of 2022, so not that long ago. In the first quarter of 2023 is when he got his first BMI statement, which had a big chunk of sports placements, and primarily those were his rock tunes. He has now signed 15 contracts. He's working with 8 different labels. That's actually a lot. I want to talk to you about that. And some of the sub-publishers with those publishers are Warner Chappell and APM, so some of the bigger companies out there. And he says he has over 130 published tracks, and then he has 70 unpublished already taken by the publishers, I'm assuming ready to be published. And he's also starting to see more international royalties trickling in as well. So Vittorio, welcome, man. Thank you so much for taking the time with us. Give me a little bit of your backstory. What were you doing in 2021, right before you got into sync licensing, and how did you discover this crazy industry?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on your channel. I'm really glad. Before discovering sync licensing, actually, I was just a guitarist swimming in the ocean of music, big ocean of music. I had everyone's dream of being, the rock star, the usual dream. And that obviously failed miserably. But I also had the dream of becoming a media composer from when I was 17, actually. And I worked on that. I scored a couple of video games of full host and plus minus things. But it was difficult to find work because you have to constantly network to find job, and it's really difficult. So at that time, I asked myself how to find job in media world. So I was looking on LinkedIn, on Facebook for job offers, and nothing came up until COVID time. And I discovered some of your videos, and now I think I have seen all of your videos right now, and some of the videos of my mentor, and which is a publisher, composer, and publisher in the production music business. So I finally figured it out where all the music for media came from. Not all, but a great part, maybe the majority of music, I think, nowadays. So I really was this happy guy discovering, a great business, a great industry. I personally love to work in sync licensing and production music business. It's not that easy, but I was lucky enough to start in this industry with my mentor, actually, because on my very first lesson with him, I pitched him a whole album. And because, as I said, he's also a publisher. and he loved it, and he immediately offered me a deal. So it felt really, really lucky and really grateful. After that, I basically worked really hard, cranking up a lot of music, a lot of albums, and I was also really lucky because after my first release, I got basically a placement after 10, I think 10 days after the release. So it was super quick. I was like shocked. And after that, more luckier, I got placement ongoing with my publisher and publishers telling me, and I have a really great conversation with them often more than often. They tell me, you got this placement, this album got on APM playlist, for example. So it's really a great conversation. And after that, on the first quarter of this year, I started to see on my BMI account a huge number. I don't know if it's huge, but to me it was at the time number of Q sheets and like 75 Q sheets. I didn't understand at the time why that much, and I asked my publishers, and they tell me, that's really great. That's positive. First of all, and you should expect some money from that on your statement. And then on the August 2023, on the BMI statement, I received that first check and was shocked because on BMI I'm subscribed only for US and Canada territories. So it was a great chunk of money. Obviously, it's not a full-time income yet, but I felt really grateful and lucky because it was a nice moment, really.
Yeah. For sure. And these stats are unbelievable. 10 days and you get your first placement. That's unheard of. 75 Q sheets within about a year of getting into the business. It took me many, many years to get to 75. So you're way ahead of where I was in this industry. And then getting over $1,000 on your first royalty check a year and a half into the industry. There's a lot of things here. I want everybody to be very clear on this. This is not the norm. Okay. So even though this is very exciting and I'm really rooting for you, man, I'm really just over the moon happy for you. I don't want people to get the false expectation that anybody can just jump into the business and do this. This is exactly why I created that Do Not Sink series, to make sure people knew this is a long haul game. So I have really two big questions I'm sure everybody watching this wants to know. One, with so many placements and so much success so quickly, what kind of music are you making? And do you think it's just that your music just happens to be the right place at the right time? Or is it your conversations with your publishers that they're giving you some insights as to what to make in terms of making the most useful music for their clients? How do you piece this together in terms of how your music is being used so quickly, so frequently?
Always in those terms, I'm really fortunate because my mentor and publisher actually first told me which genres he thought has really a great potential for television and media music, and he told me to follow my strength in that sense, and that was obviously rock because I'm a guitarist, so I played rock music for all my life, basically, and but also jazz. All my strength as really as a musician. In fact, I think that to master really your instrument, it's a great help to find your voice. For the right music, you can pitch to media. I think that also the conversation with my publishers, it's really great, and it's been really helpful, and they guided me through my strength, really. And basically they told me what the most successful genres for them were. So I basically, worked on that, and play a lot of guitar, rock guitar, and also tension music. I really felt it was really great for television. On top of that, I think really it was also a lot of luck, maybe, because I think that probably, I don't know, but I kind of see a pattern of the music I composed, because maybe an editor got used to my music, and I find that it's always on the same channels, and on the same networks of channels. So all over the place, really, in America, in Germany, in Japan. But yeah, I think that that's it.
Absolutely, yeah. So it sounds like great relationships, great communication, staying true to what you know you do well, and really blossoming in that genre, shining, right, and just showcasing your best qualities, not trying to be all different genres to all different people, but really sticking with what you know works well. And you're absolutely right about that. I noticed that on my cue sheets as well. It's like one, TV show uses the same track, hundreds of times. And that's because editors are lazy, thank God, because editors will find some pieces of music or a playlist that's their favorite, and they know that these cues always work for the background, and they always work for setting the exact right mood or tension that they know they need. Nobody wants to go have to find a new tension track every time there's a new bit of tension in their episode. They just know that your track happens to always work, so you're just on a short list, and you're just constantly, and it might even be on their hard drive, and they're just constantly just dragging that same track into the edit bay over and over again. And of course, you're right. That's probably how some of those placements, a lot of those placements, and royalties built up really quickly for you. So you're absolutely right. Being at the right place at the right time, certainly some luck involved with that, but definitely, some intelligent strategy there in terms of what you're doing and where you're putting your music out. So about 200 tracks, though, in less than 2 years. That's a lot of music. That's a lot of composing. What do you do to stay that productive? I'm sure seeing some placements, seeing some progress gives you some fuel and some motivation. But aside from that, is there anything that you can share with us that helps you stay productive? Do you have a consistent schedule? Do you have a system that you work on? Do you have a sort of deadlines that you work on a consistent basis? How do you maintain consistency? Because I know a lot of people on my channel, they struggle with this. One of the biggest struggles is like they love music, they want to make money with sync licensing, but getting their butt into the seat, making music every single day, especially with a full-time job or other obligations, is really difficult. So what's the secret sauce, man? How did you do it?
In my case, I really am a schedule guy. I really love to see my schedule. In fact, I use like my own method with the calendar. So I track everything. Maybe when I compose a track, I write it down, I put it on color on the calendar. So I really know, just by looking, my full month, my full week. So I'm really like super scheduled in that sense. But on top of that, I think that for sure finding the right genres, it's great. But I think it's also finding the genres that also you love doing. I could play guitar, rock guitar, jazz guitar every day. So it's a big fuel on top of that. So I think it's a combination of those. Also motivation, the motivation to have a career, to really grow with the patience. So I think it's a whole package. You have to be as a whole working and having a schedule and having fun. That's the most part. I think the funniest project I had was trying to compose a whole album in one day with my friends and co-writers. So we prepared ourselves to, for a funk album, really. All live played, which libraries really loved. They love live music. So we prepared ourselves with some notes on the tracks, and then we went full recording one day. It was really, really fun because it was like a gig. That was an alternative method, but I'm experimenting these kind of things, and I think you really have to enjoy what you do. Also for that reason, I think that really playing your instrument, master your instrument, it's a great thing. Becoming better and better, it improves your writing and your fun also.
I can't agree with that more. Fun is like a top priority. It should be in all of our lives, especially in our work. So I think you're onto something there. You figured out how to have fun with it. You selected a genre that you love, which I also recommend. That should be the starting point, not which one's most lucrative or which one's most getting placements right now because it's the hot genre, but which one can you see yourself, just like if you've done, making day in and day out, and that you would probably be making with or without sync licensing. You'd probably be doing rock music for whatever your other purposes would be. So that's really, really great to know. I'm glad to hear that. Lastly, I want to ask you about, you're working with 8 different labels. That's a lot, man. So do you feel overwhelmed with 8 different people asking you for music? How do you balance that? Are you consistently cranking out new tracks for all different 8 of them? Are some of them only just asking music on a, maybe on a per gig basis? How are you managing that many clients that you're serving?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's becoming more and more difficult actually, but surely I'm slowing a bit down from when I was working with 1 or 2 publishers. But scheduling myself, maybe you work some days for a couple of tracks for that label, and other couple of days for another label. So it's tough, but I think it's doable. And in the end, I will see. Of course, I'm still in the beginning phase of my career too. So I'll see which one I'm more comfortable to work with, for sure. And with genres I can produce faster and better, not only faster, but also better. So it's not easy, but it's doable. And plus, on top of that, I have conversation basically every day with different label. So one day it's maybe, can you fix that mix? One other day is stemming for another label. One another day it's a new track. So it's work. Every aspect it's fun. It's not always 100% fun, I think, because someday you can feel more tired, of course. But yeah, it's really a twist between people.
It just sounds like it's okay. A lot to manage, but definitely sounds like you're doing it well. And the cool thing is you get to now compare, right? You get to see how well each one of these labels does for you in terms of their placements and what they're securing. And then as the years go on, you can kind of decide, do I want to spend a little bit more time with this label because they're delivering a lot more, and maybe a little bit less on this one because I'm not really getting a lot of action from them. So yeah, man, I think you've got everything working in your favor. I think now you're just basically on your way, right? It's just about of just staying the course, consistently showing up as you've been doing already, and just seeing those results keep coming in. So man, we're all rooting for you. We're really excited. I love hearing stories like this. They're pretty rare. That's why I get excited about them. But I love hearing people who take this industry seriously and also have the right expectation from day one. And it sounds like you had that, especially having your mentor, having some education, and maybe some of my videos helped you understand what was ahead of you in this industry. So that's really, really cool to hear, man. So we all wish you the best of luck. Thank you so much, Vittorio. We really appreciate your time today, man. And maybe we can get you back on in 6 months or a year or something. We can get another update and see how you're doing at that point. But just keep up the great work, man. And thank you so much for sharing your story today on our channel. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jesse.